For decades, the Gambino crime family stood at the top of the American Mafia. They controlled powerful labor unions, construction companies, gambling operations, loan sharking, and extortion rackets that generated millions of dollars every year. Politicians feared them, business owners paid them, and witnesses rarely dared to speak against them. To the public, the Mafia seemed almost untouchable. By the late 1970s, the FBI had arrested countless mobsters, but nothing truly changed. Every time one captain went to prison, another quickly took his place. The organization continued to thrive because investigators were fighting individual criminals instead of dismantling the system itself. That mindset began to change with a new generation of federal agents. Among them was Bruce Mao, an experienced FBI investigator who believed the Bureau had been making the same mistake for years. Instead of chasing low-ranking gangsters, Mao wanted to expose the entire chain of command, from street soldiers all the way to the boss. It was an ambitious goal. The Gambino family operated under one of the strictest codes of secrecy and organized crime. Members followed the ancient Mafia oath known as Omerta, a code of silence that discouraged cooperation with law enforcement. Informants often disappeared before they could testify, and anyone suspected of betrayal risked a violent death. Adding to the challenge was the rise of John Gotti. After orchestrating the murder of Gambino boss Paul Castellano in 1985, Gotti transformed himself into the most recognizable mobster in America. The media called him the Dapper Don because of his expensive, tailored suits and confident public appearances. While most mafia bosses stayed hidden, Gotti embraced the spotlight, smiling outside courtrooms and acting as if the law could never touch him. To many Americans, John Gotti looked invincible. Several high-profile acquittals only strengthened his reputation, earning him another nickname, the Teflon Don, because legal cases never seemed to stick. But behind the headlines, Bruce Mao and a determined team of FBI agents were quietly building something far more dangerous than a single criminal case. They were assembling a long-term investigation designed to expose the Gambino family's inner workings, identify its leadership, and gather enough evidence to bring down the most powerful mafia empire in the United States. They knew it wouldn't happen overnight. It would take years of surveillance, patience, and one mistake from the man who believed he could never be caught. Bringing down the Gambino crime family was never going to happen with a single arrest. Bruce Mao and his fellow FBI agents understood that every failed prosecution only made the Mafia more confident. If they wanted to defeat John Gotti, they needed evidence that couldn't be explained away by expensive lawyers or intimidated witnesses. The Bureau shifted its strategy. Instead of focusing on violent crimes alone, investigators began mapping the Gambino family's entire structure. Every meeting, every phone call, every associate, and every suspicious payment became part of a growing puzzle. Teams worked around the clock, following mobsters through New York's crowded streets, documenting routines that rarely changed. The goal wasn't just to catch criminals in the act, it was to prove how the organization operated from the boss down to the soldiers. The biggest obstacle was Gotti himself. Unlike previous mafia leaders, he loved attention. He met with captains openly, visited social clubs, and often ignored the security measures that older bosses considered essential. His confidence made him a celebrity, but it also created opportunities for investigators. One location became especially important: the Ravenite Social Club in Little Italy. To outsiders, it looked like an ordinary neighborhood gathering place. To the FBI, it was the unofficial headquarters of the Gambino family. Agents watched who entered, who left, and how often key figures met with Gotti. Every visit added another piece to the investigation. Still, surveillance alone wasn't enough. The breakthrough came when federal agents secretly installed listening devices in locations connected to Gotti's inner circle. For the first time, they weren't relying on rumors or informants. They were hearing conversations directly from the Mafia's leadership. The recordings changed everything. Instead of speaking like a cautious boss, Gotti often discussed family business openly. He criticized captains, approved criminal activities, and even complained about loyal members behind their backs. Without realizing it, he was providing prosecutors with exactly what they had spent years searching for. His own words, linking him to the Gambino family's operations. The agents knew they finally had a chance, but there was one problem. Gathering evidence was only half the battle. To destroy the Gambino empire, they still needed someone from inside the Mafia willing to break the code of Omerta. And before long, that opportunity would come from the last person John Gotti ever expected to betray him. The FBI had spent years building its case, but one final piece was still missing. The surveillance tapes were powerful, yet prosecutors wanted someone from the inside who could explain the Mafia's structure to a jury. Then the impossible happened. Salvatore "Sammy the Bull" Gravano, John Gotti's longtime underboss and one of the most feared hitmen in the American Mafia, made a decision that stunned both law enforcement and organized crime. After hearing the secret FBI recordings, Gravano realized Gotti wasn't protecting his closest allies. Instead, the boss had repeatedly shifted blame onto him, portraying Gravano as the man responsible for the family's murders and illegal operations. For Gravano, the code of Omerta had already been broken, not by him, but by the man he had sworn loyalty to. Faced with spending the rest of his life in prison while Gotti tried to save himself, Gravano agreed to cooperate with the government. It was one of the most devastating defections in Mafia history. As a former underboss, he possessed first-hand knowledge of the Gambino family's leadership, criminal enterprises, initiation ceremonies, and countless murders. Combined with years of FBI surveillance and Gotti's own recorded conversations, Gravano's testimony created an overwhelming case. In 1992, John Gotti was convicted on multiple federal charges, including murder, racketeering, conspiracy, illegal gambling, obstruction of justice, and tax offenses. The man once known as the Teflon Don was sentenced to life in federal prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict sent shockwaves through organized crime. For decades, Mafia bosses had seemed beyond the reach of the law. Gotti's conviction proved that even the most powerful crime families could be dismantled through patience, intelligence, and relentless investigation. The Gambino family survived, but it never regained the same level of influence or public confidence it enjoyed during Gotti's reign. Bruce Mao and the FBI agents who spent years chasing the Gambino empire accomplished what many once believed was impossible. They didn't destroy the Mafia overnight, but they shattered its image of invincibility. John Gotti died behind bars in 2002, ending the era of America's most famous mob boss. His rise had captivated the nation, but his downfall became an even greater lesson. In the end, it wasn't violence that defeated the Gambino family. It was evidence, patience, and the betrayal of the man Gotti trusted most.